All right, it's been a while since I've done one of these series that was inspired, as everybody knows, from Afro Senju Tales that I created, the Kenja Chronicles. It's just a series that I can be doing whatever. Literally, I could be doing whatever, and I'm just, just storytelling or just talking about stuff. And for this Kenja Chronicles, I want to tell you the story of how Magic the Gathering saved my life, quite literally. It's no secret on the channel, if you've been watching me, that in April, the very first week / the beginning of the second week of April, my grandmother passed away. And before that happened, in October, November-ish area of 2024, I started getting into Magic the Gathering. I started to actually dive into it and learn the mechanics, deck building, and all that. The stuff that you normally do as you're getting into a new game, right? Especially a trading card game. You're learning all the rules. You're trying to take in all the information. There's just so much to just take in. You're just absorbing so much information. You're constantly playing with whatever your small group of friends are, or maybe it's just one person. For me, it was just really one person until he introduced me to another friend of his, and then we created a 3-person pod. And then we would try to go down to the card shop, and then we would try to, connect with each other and play with one random, or we just play at the card shop. And that's important. All my life, I've kind of been alienated from most events. And when I did want to go to card shops or game shops, it was a task for my mother to take me before I was able to drive myself or walk there myself, right? It was a huge task to get somebody to bring me to a place that was a source of inspiration, a source of creativity for somebody like me that loved to be around video games, board games, card games. It didn't even matter. Just be around that and like-minded people. It was always an issue because gas, bills, exhaustion within the family, and it just family trauma and drama to begin with. So having a new place to go to when I was older still kind of hit a rock hard wall. It was okay, we have a location, but we could just chill at each other's places. That's more comfortable for me. I don't have to be around all these people because I was so alienated from so many things, whether intently or not. I ended up becoming extremely antisocial, and it caused me to be very distant from a crowd of people. I don't mind being sociable and social with a small group of friends, or even just strangers and people in general. What I usually have an issue with is when it gets more than 5, 6, 7, 10 people in a room. If it's not even at family gatherings, it's still an issue, because at family gatherings, I'm sitting there and I'm usually not talking when everybody else is speaking. I'm usually either the last or the first person to get food, depending on who's there at that gathering or what type of gathering it is. Or if everybody and the kids and everybody else is playing around and just talking and partying in this area of the entire vicinity, I'm all the way over there on the stairs, or just sitting near my car on my phone, or just looking, just enjoying the company of my loved ones from afar. That's just my personality. If you see me in person and you care enough to say what's up, I'll say what's up. I'll probably be extremely awkward. I'll be completely honest. I have learned a social skill by being in the car business for as long as I have been in it, and for having restaurant business experience, and just in general, just trying to be more sociable for content creation and being in front of a camera and then rapping and having to go on stage and stuff. I worked on my communication skills in general, so I can hold a conversation and I can be very goofy. That's just my personality. I can be very lighthearted, but I could also be extremely serious. But the thing about me is when I have my boundary of I'm really antisocial, when that shit hits, it hits heavy, bro, and it could change my entire mood to the point where I'm just I I literally don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be around anybody, and I'm not even trying to be nasty. Like that's just how I am. My crusty ass hands. I know y'all seen that. So that's genuinely how I be. So my experience with playing like Magic the Gathering from last year, getting into it, was really just, hey, I'm gonna play with these guys over here every now and then. It wasn't like, oh, I'm playing it all the time. It was, I'm playing it enough that I learned how to build a pretty decent deck. You know, I got out of the habit of just playing with precons. Excuse me, y'all know I don't really cut stuff out of these like Kenja Chronicles, or I'll make it a habit that I'm not really cutting much out. I just excuse me in general, you know, I'll be tired, you know, I'm a daddy now. 2-month-old baby. But I played it enough to get out of the habit of like just playing with precons. I would watch YouTube videos all the time, like just trying to learn. I genuinely wanted to learn, so I wasn't always just looked at as, oh, he's the new guy, he's the newbie. I wanted to learn enough that I can maintain myself at the pod and not have everybody always explaining something to me. So I was watching a YouTube video on what makes black the best, what makes green the best, what makes blue the best, what are the colors, like, okay, Demir is this and that color, and Teamer is this and that color. And I still don't know everything, but I know enough to just be like, okay, these colors are really good together. You can mix these colors well together. These cards are always going to be really synchronized. And then, you know, learning about different archetypes with like mutations and different skills and abilities and how different decks can function. I was just learning. It wasn't like all of that like really seeped in until later, and I'll get to that. But it was mainly just like, hey, you know, I'm doing all of this legwork to just be able to sit at the pod and just have fun, and we can just talk about stuff and enjoy each other's company and still kind of get a little competitive here and there. And then I can't remember, I have it on the channel, I might link it somewhere, but I attempted to make my very first deck. And that was like a month in that I had attempted to make my first deck, and it ended horribly because I wasn't playing Commander at the time. And then, you know, it grows and develops to where I start playing Commander a little bit more often. I get my precon. It was gifted to me on Christmas of 2024. And I kept on moving forward, and then I got my own precon, and then I started to learn, oh, I can build a deck out of any legendary creature. And so that developed, right? But it didn't like get too hard hitting until 2025. 2025, we had Tarkir Dragonstorm that came out. And if I remember, Tarkir Dragonstorm came out in March, I want to say. Actually, let me look that up right now, because whenever Tarkir Dragonstorm came out is when I started taking the game like a little bit more seriously. Okay, so it was a little bit after, so this does make sense. It came out on April 11th. My grandmother passed April 8th. Okay, and then there was the pre-release that basically came out a little. Let me see. When was the pre-release? The pre-release was the 4th through the 10th, and in my area, I was able to get pre-release products on the 4th, and it was like earlier. I can't remember the specific date. I would have to look at my bank statements and look at the thing that I bought, because I bought a collector booster for $200. 200, bro. I remember that them bitches was 200. Now them shits is like 350, 4, 5, 6, 800 because of freaking Final Fantasy. But I bought one for 200, and that was really cool. I ended up being able to crack Elsbeth, the Japanese hollow foil, sold that for like 250 or something like that, or 270, and it paid for a vacation basically. Well, most of the vacation for me to go out of town and just spend time. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Basically, when I knew that Tarkir was coming out, I was like, oh, dragons, I really want to get into that. And I started to like buckle down and learn stuff more. But I still wasn't really showing my head too much at the shop. It was kind of like, okay, when everybody else wants to play over there, then I'll play over there. And majority of the time, I'm kind of just doing my own thing, right? Well, you fast forward to when my grandmother passed away. Something, I mean, like, it's just really hard, and I'm just trying not to be too emotional right now, but like something died that day, not outside of my grandmother. Something in me really just like crashed, because to me, my grandmother was she was just a really different type of motherly figure for me, just because I didn't always have the greatest relationship with my own mom growing up. And she was like always by my back, always had my back, always was teaching me something. It wasn't just like blatant, oh, we have your back over stuff. It was, you're learning stuff and we're gonna do a lot to have you learn. And we was always like doing things. It was like an event, basically, anytime I wanted to learn something. And she taught me a lot about the Bible. She taught me a lot about my morals and how to treat people. And when you do somebody wrong, you know, apologize. You know, she's taught me pretty much everything I know. And I feel like a lot of the positivity that I have in my life came from her. So fast forward, because I don't want to get too much on her, right? You know, I love my grandmother so much. And I that's the thing you can always wish. You just had more time. When she passed, that shit was really hard, man. And it's still hard. And I talked about this a couple days ago. Well, I probably posted the video a couple days ago from me streaming. I had gotten into a mode where it's like, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't care for anything. But I had one homie. I've played a couple games with him on the channel in the past. I call him Dom. His username is Pudgy, Poodgie. And he always had my back, man. And I've always called him like my brother growing up, growing up, quote unquote. You know, I met him when I was like 15 or 16. So we've been friends pretty much for like 10 years now, because I'm about to turn 26 in like a few months. And I really got to say, I've always called him my brother, but he really proved himself to be one that night, because I called him, let him know my grandmother was dying in the hospital, because I was there with her in the hospital while she was passing away. And I had to step out of the room. And I mean, I was there while she died, but like, you know, it was like, all right, I need to recompose myself to come back into the room with her again. And I called him, and he just had my back, and he heard me crying, and he knew the choked upness in my voice, and he let me know, because me and him kind of seem like we don't cry that much, but when we do cry, it's meaningful. Like, yeah, I cry in the studio when I'm writing and recording stuff, because that's emotional. I'm hearing instruments, I'm hearing sounds, and I'm being moved by like the extra spiritual side of music that there is, especially stuff that I'm creating. I'm trying to pull out of myself to write down the lyrics that I want to write down, you know, bring out the trauma on the pages, doing what I need to do to escape all the rages and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And just push it to different ranges. And on the phone, he just understood, because a few years ago his mom passed away in an accident. She was on her way home from work, and she had a genuine accident. She was trying to climb over a fence, and she fell, and she fell down the wrong way, basically, and it was a wrap after that. And I got really frustrated, and I cried a lot when I heard about it, because I was like, I'm right up the road. And she knew that anytime that she wanted to, she could have called me and I would have came to get her, because I have in the past, and I've never ever complained, except about like, hey, yeah, just throw me a couple dollars for gas, you know. But that was never a constriction. It was never contingent on, you have to give me gas, otherwise I'm not even making the drive out. Because to me, it's like, you have the main road, like the main highway, right? I guess the interstate, the main highway, the 29, route 29, that like just leads through the state, basically. And if I get on that, she's probably 15-20 minutes away. So if she called me, I would have got there. She's a whole city over, but I still would have got there. And I've done that plenty of times in the past. So I got really frustrated, and I was choked up, and I was crying when he told me what happened. It was an accident. To me, it felt like she was also a motherly figure for me, because I went to his house a lot growing up. I went to his house a lot, and she was always very sweet, always very kind. She always was like, Gary is such an angel. And I would always just try to live up to that and just be as kind as I could to her son, being one of my best friends. You know, I always did my best to always uplift and stay true to that. And man, that hit. But I say that, I'm choking up and tearing up a little bit. I say that because he understood. And there was no hesitation. He was like, look, I'll call out of work. I'll be up there. Do you need me to be up there tonight? I'll make the drive. And my wife was able to convince him, it's okay. Well, I'll take care of him tonight. Can you get up here tomorrow? And so he came up the next day, and he just stayed there the whole day. He just stayed there the whole day. And the next day, he was just chilling, and he was just cool with me. And when he came up, it was like really early in the morning. Well, it was like really late at night / early in the morning, because he came up basically after he worked. He went into work that night, and he came up after work, and I know he was like really tired, and that's why I really appreciate what he did for me. Bro came up at like 3-4 in the morning. Mind you, his drive, because he moved away probably like 5 years ago now, maybe 6, but he moved away, and he's about an hour and 25 minutes away, so basically an hour and a half away. And he drove there to get, and he was tired after work, and he told me he was tired. We played Magic the Gathering the entire night, bro. The entire night, just practicing. He was teaching me new stuff, more concepts, more ideas. We ended up cracking open a collector booster that day, and that was like super cool. I have the recording, I have the video of me opening it, and he was like, no way, that's one of the highest ones, because we ended up going to the card shop a little later once it opened up, and that's when I had cracked it open. I was reckless, man. I was reckless. I just spiraled. You know, I was just like, I need to spend money on something. I need to buy this thing. I need to buy this thing. Like, I spiraled. It was hard. It was rough. And he was just there for me through the whole thing. He had my freaking back, and I really appreciate that. And it was that moment that thrusted forward everything, because when that happened, it just opened my eyes and made me latch on to something. You know, I was able to forget every other emotion I was feeling as long as I hyper focused on Magic the Gathering. And I just went all in. I started learning deck building. I started like really learning deck building, started building all types of decks, you know, then Final Fantasy came out and blah, 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 right? But the point is that from April this year onward, everything that my life comprised of just went to the side, and I just hyper focused on Magic the Gathering. I started going down there more and becoming a part of their community just a little bit. I'm still really antisocial, but like I just threw every feeling of uncomfortableness that I had out the window, so that way I could just sit down there either with a group of friends or just walk up to a random person. Hey, do you need an extra right now? You full? It's all good. You can come get me. I'll be over there. And I didn't even care. I would be like, I cared so much about just being somewhere not at home. Because the truth is if I didn't find Magic the Gathering, I would either be dead or a completely different person due to either drinking, like alcoholism, or drug abuse. I would have found a way, bro. When people are desperate and they're going through something, I would have found a way to numb that amount of pain, bro. And I'm just so grateful that card shop and my friends was there. Well, my friend, plural, my friend and my wife, because they both have had my back. And that's just the truth of the matter. And I was able to fully throw myself in there. And it was like, that was my life. Majority of this year was, I cared more about Magic the Gathering than anything else. If you would have asked me, what do you want to spend money on right now? Do you want to go out to the movies? Do you want to go out to eat? Do you want to do something with your wife? Do you want to take care of your dogs and like go to a dog park or something this summer? No, I'm sorry. I hardly did dates this year. It was hard for me to do anything outside of just every Friday. I made it a habit. I was like, all right, let's get the small group together. Every Friday, let's meet at the card shop. Every Tuesday, they're holding this type of commander day. I'm going there. I'm doing this thing. Even if I'm not buying anything, I'm just browsing. I made any legitimate excuse to just be in that vicinity, and it helped. It sounds unhealthy, but it helped. Because without it, I would have spiraled into something else. Granted, I spent a ton of money that I shouldn't have spent all those months that I was just hyper focused on Magic. But it did help. And that's really how Magic saved my life. It gave me a place to call home when I felt like mine was ripped out of my chest. It gave me a place to express my creativity as a deck builder. I was like, oh, I have this concept, this idea, and somehow deck building allowed me to just bring that out, and it was fulfilling. Now, I did have some deck building experience from building decks for Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid, and some decks for Pokemon when I was a kid, but Magic the Gathering filled a hole in my heart that I really needed filled, that no other place was ever able to do, especially during that time. And I've always just like enjoyed card games in general, but Magic the Gathering just hit a different level, specifically Commander, because it was that sense of community that really brought my heart back to a place where I could just go back to my apartment and just chill. And now I'm able to be present and be there for my son the best way that I can. And I wouldn't be able to, and I would be far worse off if I didn't spend all that time and money, as much as I hate it, on Magic, and just spending time in a new location, spending time learning people, and creating an environment for myself where I could express my artistic and creative natures and tendencies in the form of cards. You know how you got that one annoying friend that loves to play one thing that's like super broken, or you got that one friend that's playing slivers, or you got that one friend that does this thing. You know, it's like it's a representation of not just them wanting to break the game, but it's something that they're trying to express within themselves. You know, like I feel like as a deck builder, every deck you build is an extension of yourself in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's really fun to have different decks for different scenarios. If you want a really high-powered deck, all means, go swing with the big boys, right? Go fight against your Eldrazi's and Slivers. If you want to go have just a pre-con night, you can build a pre-con level deck, or just go buy one, right? But I just found so much love in is the correct word solace, or is it solitude? But I found so much there in serenity and just being able to spend hours deck building. And then hours turned into like an hour. And then an hour turned into like, yeah, I'll probably spend like 30 minutes thinking about the deck, and then take me like a week or something to get all the cards that I need for it, or 2-3 weeks, or I'll plan out in a month in advance. Like I knew that as soon as the Avatar set got released, and they said, or announced, and they told us that there was no Commander decks being built, I was like, I need to see the spoilers for this deck when spoiler season happens, or this set, because I want to build a Commander pre-con that gives that sense of, well, you can do a whole bunch of stuff, and I wanted Avatar Ink to be the headliner, and I did that. And that's so cool because it gives you a goal, and it gives you that dopamine hit for being able to just achieve that. So a long video summed up, Magic the Gathering saved my life because it gave me a sense of community and a place that I could call home, where it felt like mine got ripped out of my chest, and it allowed me to become closer with friends and even new people. And it just opened up the door for something that I've always struggled with, which was creating new friendships in general. Everybody can always laugh and have fun at a pod, unless somebody is just being overly toxic. But then you just step away and you say, bro, it's just a card game. What are we doing? You know, let's have fun. Let's buy some pizza. Let's get something to drink. Let's get some drinks. Y'all ever tried to play a Commander game high or drunk or something? Shit can kind of be fun. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's a good time. It's no different than you going with your family and playing Uno, or you going with playing like Monopoly, but you don't really go up to strangers and say, yo, you wanna play a game of Monopoly? Hey, yo, you trying to play some Uno? And it's low key, it doesn't really feel like there's a real location to just do that like there is at your local game store. And I don't mean like a GameStop game store. I mean like a true brick and mortar LGS that has board games in it. It has stuff for like Warhammer, where you can like paint your figures and stuff. That's cool, bro. That's cool. It has all the nerd shit. I put quotations up because I'm so tired. I grew up in the era where people was constantly saying, if you like video games, if you like this thing or that thing, you're a nerd. Or you like that thing and that thing, you're a nerd. You can't, that thing and that thing, you're a nerd. And it's a bad thing. Like, nigga, I have passions and hobbies that I love to indulge myself in. And I'm the nerd. I'm the negative one. And you're the one that's trying to put me down for enjoying the shit that I love. But if I was to put you down for being a movie connoisseur, then I'm the weirdo, because it's normal to like movies, but it's not normal to like playing games. Nigga, we grow up playing games. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. I know I go off on a tangent sometimes, but sometimes the shit people do and say makes zero sense to me. How you gonna call somebody weird and goofy when you're really just saying the stereotype that movies have thrusted forward as the people that don't shower and smell horrendous and don't care about anything in their lives? Those are the people that you really have a problem with. You don't have a problem with me. You don't have a problem with Dom. You don't have a problem with the normal, average, everyday person that gets off of work and they just want to go down to the card shop and just play some cards for a couple hours. You don't have a problem with us. You have a problem with that stereotype. But that's the story of how Magic the Gathering saved my life. Let me hear about your stories and how you really discovered Magic the Gathering down in the comments below. And I'm open to reading every single one of them and just replying. You know, it felt so different because it almost felt like a reawakening. It felt like a revisiting of Magic. It wasn't just like, I discovered Magic in November and December of last year and October because a friend kept egging me on, like, oh, you played Yu-Gi-Oh in the past, so you should get into Magic. It's the originator. It's the original trading card game. You should do this. And I finally caved. I was like, all right, come on, let's do it. And he took me to the shop and started getting into it, and da-da-da. You know, we played the starter decks, and he actually got the beginner boxes to help me learn and stuff. And now I'm playing Magic with my wife, and that's fire to me. That's cool. And now I have something that, like, hopefully it doesn't like completely age out. I mean, I hope it doesn't, but in years to come, I'll have something to play with my son. He's 2 months old now, but like, that can grow. And my love for it can grow. I'll get into a new location. I'm not going to be here for the next 6 years or for the next 5, 7, 10 years or whatever. Like, I'll have a new space, and then we can have like a whole room just for like building up Magic cards, and maybe I'll get into other stuff. I just love a space to just call creatively my zone. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's just, there's a certain level of peace that Magic brought me that I was able to hyper focus in, and it just hit at the right time. So as much of a story as this is about how Magic saved my life, it's also a story about how if you have the right friend, even if it's just one, and you have the opportunity laid out before you, if you're dealing with a lot of internal pain or grief, you can find a really good, healthy habit, and it can make all the difference in your life. And if you have somebody as a significant other that really cares about you, and they even give it a chance, it makes a really big difference. So thank you for the people that support me in my life, my personal life. I would love to bring more Magic the Gathering content to the channel as long as I figure out how to, or like what you guys want to see. I really enjoyed that Avatar video I did. I know it was really long, but I really enjoyed it, and just explaining the concept of why I like put each card in the deck. That was really cool. So thank you to my wife, and thank you to you, Dom, for really sticking by my side. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And for my fans out there and people that support me and all my subscribers and followers on Twitch, I appreciate you too. I'll catch y'all in the next one, and I'll try to do more sit downs and or drive arounds with Kenja Chronicles. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe out there. God bless, because the world is a crazy place. I'm healing. I'm trying to get better. Peace.